Alright, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I'm going to go through all 32 teams in the NFL and essentially breaking down which player I think would be a perfect fit for each team in free agency. As well as that, I'm going to be going through each player's projected contract that they may earn this offseason, as well as each team's estimated cap space. And I'm going to be giving each team another potential free agent that they may target this offseason as well. If you do enjoy the video, please leave a like. I would greatly appreciate that. If you agree or disagree with anything, please leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Okay, starting off this video, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and I have them signing Josh Sweat out of Philadelphia. He's currently only 27 years old, so he's relatively young. Cardinals have a good amount of cap space this offseason, roughly $70 million over the cap. Spotrac projects him to sign a 3-year, $56 million deal this offseason. I think this is a good fit because this fills a very big need for the Cardinals. And two, Josh Sweat has familiarity with Jonathan Gannon, who was the Eagles defensive coordinator in 2021 and 2022. And yeah, Sweat makes a lot of sense here depending on the length and size of the contract. But another potential target I do see them signing is Milton Williams out of Philadelphia as well. Again, he has familiarity with Jonathan Gannon. They have enough cap space to make a move like this. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see either or Josh Sweat or Milton Williams be on the Cardinals come next year. All right, next up we have the Atlanta Falcons, and I have them signing Hollywood Brown out of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's only 27 years old. The Atlanta Falcons are a little bit under the cap at the moment, roughly $11 million under the cap. Spotrac has him projected to sign a 4-year, $60 million deal this upcoming offseason, which in my opinion, I do not see happening. But yeah, Brown missed almost the entirety of the regular season in Kansas City last year with a shoulder injury. And yeah, I think he could be looking for a prove-it deal this upcoming offseason. And I think the Falcons could be interested in pairing him up nicely with Drake London and Darnell Mooney as a vertical threat for the Falcons and add another weapon for MPJ. But another potential target I have them signing is Christian Fulton out of the Los Angeles Chargers. They do need help in the secondary, especially at the cornerback position. I think Christian Fulton could be a cheap option at the cornerback position this upcoming free agency, and I think he'd be a nice fit for the Atlanta Falcons here. Baltimore Ravens up next, and I have them signing Kendall Fuller, 30 years old, who was recently released from the Miami Dolphins. They have roughly $6 million over the cap space at this time. And I could not find a projected contract via Spotrac for Kendall Fuller. And I think this makes a lot of sense for the Ravens because they have a history of signing a lot of veterans at the cornerback position, such as Marcus Peters and Jimmy Smith, for example. I think Fuller fits the mold as a veteran player at the cornerback position who really won't break the bank for them and can come help and solidify the secondary that desperately needs it. But another projected target I do have them signing is Mike Williams out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, they do need a lot of weapons on offense. They need more weapons, especially at the wide receiver position. I think Mike Williams could come in and be a cheap option for them and just be a really solid weapon for this offense and Lamar Jackson. All right, up next we have the Buffalo Bills, and I have them signing Eric Stokes, 25 years old, out of the Green Bay Packers. The Bills are roughly $14 million under the cap, and I could not find a projected contract this upcoming offseason via Spotrac. I think this is a good fit though for the Bills, especially because I think Eric Stokes could really bolster their defense, especially in the secondary where they might be losing Rasul Douglas. And I really think Stokes could come at a budget price at the cornerback position this offseason. And I think this would be a good change of scenery for Eric Stokes and his young NFL career. Another potential target I do see them signing is Diontae Johnson. This was a little bit 50-50 for me because of the way the Bills operate in terms of signing players in free agency. But if Diontae Johnson fixes his off-field issues, I think this could be a sneaky good signing for the Buffalo Bills here. But yeah, Eric Stokes I think would fit in nicely for the Buffalo Bills. I think he would be a great addition to this secondary. Okay, Carolina Panthers up next, and I have them signing Malcolm Koonce out of the Las Vegas Raiders. Koonce only 26 years old, and he's projected to be signed to a 2-year, $37 million contract this upcoming offseason. And the Carolina Panthers do have a good amount of cap space this offseason, roughly $20 million over the cap. I think the Panthers really need a massive overhaul, especially on the defense. And despite Koonce missing all of 2024. I think he would be a good piece to build the defense around given his age and production. And Kuntz had a very productive season the year prior before being injured. But another potential target I do see them signing is DJ Jones out of the Denver Broncos. I think Jones would come at a relatively cheap price this upcoming offseason, and I think he would bring a lot of value to the interior defensive line for the Carolina Panthers here. All right, Chicago Bears, and I have them signing center Drew Dahlman out of the Atlanta Falcons. Dahlman, only 26 years old. The Chicago Bears have a lot of cap space to work with this upcoming offseason, currently projected to be over $60 million over the cap. I think the Bears really need to prioritize adding talent to the offensive line this upcoming offseason, and I think Dahlman should be their top priority in my opinion. He is a proven veteran at that position that is very hard to fill. And being only 26 years old, I think he could be in for a very long-term contract this upcoming offseason. But another potential target for them is Trey Smith, of course. And I can see them offering Trey Smith a big contract as well. But yeah, they need to prioritize offense by any means necessary. So whether it's Dahlman, Trey Smith, I think they need to add one of the two this upcoming free agency. Okay, Cincinnati Bengals up next, and they did recently franchise tag T. Higgins, and I do expect them to extend Jamar Chase this offseason. But I do have them signing Charvarius Ward, who is currently 28 years old, out of San Francisco. And the Bengals have roughly $45 million over the cap at the moment. But we all know that the Bengals really need help at basically every position on defense. I think Ward could really just be a solid bounce back candidate after having a down year this past season. But Ward was really good the seasons prior, and I think he could be a potential upgrade for this Bengals secondary. Another potential target I do see them signing, though, is Byron Murphy as well. Again, they need secondary help. I think Byron Murphy makes a lot of sense for them. He is still relatively young as well, and they have enough cap space to make a splash at the cornerback position this coming offseason. Okay, Cleveland Browns up next, and this is a very unaspiring free agent signing, but I think this really makes sense. I do have them signing Joe Flacco, quarterback out of the Indianapolis Colts. The Browns are roughly $30 million under the cap at the moment, so they don't have a lot of money to work with this offseason. And I think the expectation is that the Browns will look to draft a quarterback this offseason. So I think Joe Flacco would be a solid mentor in the quarterback room, especially since he has a lot of experience within this Browns offensive system. And I think Joe Flacco would be a very cheap veteran option, given that Spotrac values him at a 1-year, $3 million deal this upcoming offseason. But another potential target I do see them signing is Daniel Jones. Again, another potential cheap option at the quarterback position. And I can see them potentially signing Daniel Jones and basically just having him compete at that quarterback position this upcoming year. But yeah, I think both quarterbacks make a lot of sense for this team come free agency here. Okay, Dallas Cowboys up next, and I have them signing Javonte Williams out of Denver. Williams, only 24 years old. The Cowboys are currently $2 million under the cap at the moment. Spotrac values Williams at a 3-year, $20 million contract this upcoming offseason. And I think with Dotto set to hit free agency, I think the Cowboys are in a desperate need for talent at the running back position. I think Williams could be a cheap option for the Cowboys given his injury history. But when healthy, I think Williams is a very elusive running back, and I think he could look to revitalize his career in Dallas. Another potential target at the running back position, though, is J.K. Dobbins. Again, past injury history, could come in at a cheap contract, and I think he is very talented when healthy. So both running backs make a lot of sense here for the Dallas Cowboys, and I think they are going to add at least one running back in free agency. Denver Broncos up next, and I have them making a very big move this coming free agency with signing Chris Godwin out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Godwin, coming off a season-ending injury and being 28 years old, is valued at a 3-year, $67 million contract this upcoming offseason, and the Broncos are roughly $34 million over the cap, so they have enough cap to make this happen. And I think even coming off a season-ending injury, Godwin is really expected to be in high demand this upcoming free agency. And I really think the Broncos should be interested in him. And the Broncos really need just a go-to threat and someone that could create in space at the wide receiver position. So Godwin makes a lot of sense for them. And I think he would be the perfect addition for this Broncos offense. Another potential target I do see them signing is Zach Bond. Linebacker is a very big need for the Broncos as well. They do have a lot of cap space to work with this upcoming offseason. So Bond makes a lot of sense for the Broncos and their defense. But yeah, I can see them signing either player here. And I do expect the Denver Broncos to make a big move this upcoming free agency. All right, up next we have the Detroit Lions, and I have them signing Khalil Mack, defensive end out of the Los Angeles Chargers. Mack is currently 34 years old, and Spotrac has him valued at a 3-year, $70 million contract, and is a little lengthy in my opinion, given that he is 34 years old. Regardless though, I think the signing could be a legitimate needle mover for this Lions defense. While Mack did not have a lofty sack number in 2024, I think he is still more than capable of being a wrecker at the defensive end position. And I think adding a veteran to this playoff contending roster makes a lot of sense for both sides. And the Lions are estimated to have roughly $45 million over the cap here, so they have a lot of money to work with this upcoming offseason. But another potential target I do see them signing is Josh Sweat. Again, they have a lot of cap to work with. I think edge is a sneaky need for the Lions, so both players make a lot of sense here. Green Bay Packers up next, and I have them signing Asante Samuel out of the Los Angeles Chargers. Samuel, only 25 years old, is valued at a 4-year, $46 million contract via Spotrac. And the Packers do have a good amount of cap space to work with this upcoming offseason, projected to be over $40 million in cap space. And we're still set to hit free agency, and the question mark on Jaire Alexander's tenure with the Packers. I think they really should address the cornerback position. Though Samuel missed most of last season due to an injury, I think he's been a quality starting cornerback for the Chargers since he's been drafted. But another potential target I do see them signing is Malcolm Koonce out of the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they have a sneaky need at the edge position. They have a good amount of cap space to work with. And I think Koonce could fit in really well in this 4-3 scheme that the Packers run here. But yeah, I think they address the defense in free agency and make a big splash in either Asante Samuel or Malcolm Koonce. All right, Houston Texans up next, and they really need to address the offensive line this upcoming offseason. So I have them signing Will Hernandez out of the Arizona Cardinals. The Texans are a little bit under the cap right now, so I think this is a very cost-effective signing for the Texans here, as Spotrac values him at a 2-year, $8 million contract this upcoming offseason. Another potential target I do see them signing is Dyami Brown out of the Washington Commanders. And I think Dyami could really be a very cost-effective wide receiver for them as well. They are set to lose Stephon Diggs this free agency, and with Dell still recovering from a season-ending injury, I think this makes a lot of sense for them here. But yeah, Will Hernandez I think would be a perfect fit in Houston. Indianapolis Colts up next, and I have them signing Dre Greenlaw, 27 years old, out of the San Francisco 49ers. The Colts roughly have $28 million in cap space. Greenlaw is projected at a 1-year, $7 million contract this upcoming offseason. I think he could be a really cheap option at the linebacker position this year, especially having injury setbacks as of recent. If he can stay healthy, I think he would be a great option for the Colts. I think there is a big possibility that E.J. Speed won't be retained, so I think the Colts should be looking to add more talent to their linebacker core that would consist of Jalen Carlys and Zaire Franklin at the moment. Another potential target I do see them signing is Cameron Bynum out of the Minnesota Vikings. I think safety is also a big need for the Indianapolis Colts. I think Bynum would fill in perfectly, but it would be interesting what kind of contract Bynum could receive this upcoming offseason. But Dre Greenlaw I think would be a really nice fit here for the Colts. All right, Jacksonville Jaguars up next. I do have them making a very big splash move here in signing DJ Reed out of the New York Jets. Reed being 28 years old, the Jaguars do have a good amount of cap space to work with this upcoming offseason, roughly $30 million over the cap. And Spotrac has DJ Reed valued at a roughly 4-year, $60 million contract. I think the Jaguars desperately need another perimeter cornerback, as they have Jarrian Jones in the slot, and Tyson Campbell is on one side of the field as the other boundary corner. I think Reed would be a great fit because of his ability to not only play coverage, but he can really contribute in the run game as well. Another potential target I do see them signing is Mekhi Becton. Brandon Scherff is set to leave for free agency as well this upcoming offseason, so I could really see Becton stepping in being a quality guard for this offense. So yeah, I have the Jaguars signing DJ Reed here, and I think he would be a great fit for this defense. Kansas City Chiefs up next, and I think they have a lot of positions to fill, especially on the offensive line. and especially if they lose Trey Smith to free agency. So I think Alaric Jackson out of the Rams would be a good fit for the Chiefs here. Jackson only being 26 years old. The Chiefs are a little bit under the cap at the moment, and Spotrac has Jackson valued at a 3-year, $48 million contract this upcoming offseason. I think Jackson would add a lot of stability at the offensive tackle position, and I think he could be a relatively cheap replacement for DJ Humphries and Wayne Morris. But another potential target I do see them signing is Mike Hilton out of the Cincinnati Bengals. Hilton being a little bit older at the cornerback position. I think he's still a solid cornerback. I think they could add more depth at the cornerback position, and I think he'd be a good fit for Spagnuolo's defense here. But yeah, Alaric Jackson would definitely be a perfect fit here for the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, Las Vegas Raiders up next, and they have a lot of cap space to work with this upcoming offseason. Roughly $90 million over the cap. So I have them making a big splashy move in signing Carlton Davis out of the Detroit Lions here. Davis being 28 years old. I think he's been one of the most consistent cornerbacks in this league since he's been drafted. And I think he really put in a solid season with the Lions this past year. And while Davis will most likely command a lot of money in free agency, like I said, the Raiders have a lot of money to work with and to play with this upcoming offseason. So I think Carlton Davis makes a lot of sense for them. Another potential target I do see them signing though is Sam Darnold, quarterback out of the Minnesota Vikings. Again, they need to address the quarterback position either in free agency or in the NFL draft. And I think Darnold will be one of the most sought out quarterbacks this upcoming offseason. So he makes a lot of sense for them as well. But yeah, I think they'll make a big move this upcoming free agency. But I would really like to see them sign Carlton Davis out of the Lions here. Okay, up next we have the LA Chargers, and I have them signing Najee Harris out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Chargers have a lot of cap space to work with this upcoming season, roughly $60 million over the cap, and Spotrac has Harris valued at a 3-year, $27 million contract this upcoming offseason. So with Dobbins potentially leaving in free agency, I think Harris could step in for the Chargers as the lead back here, and I think they could really use an upgrade at the running back position and give more weapons to Justin Herbert. And I think Harris would be a strong candidate for the Chargers given their cap space. A potential target I do see them signing though is Chase Young. Young is still relatively young, no pun intended, but with them set to lose Khalil Mack in free agency, I do see them signing another edge in free agency, or even drafting one. But yeah, Najee Harris, Chase Young, they both make a lot of sense here, and I think they would be a perfect fit for the LA Chargers here. Okay, LA Rams up next, and I have them signing Nick Bolton, 24 years old, out of the Kansas City Chiefs. The Rams roughly have $38 million over the cap. Spotrac values Bolton at a 4-year, $49 million contract. And I think linebacker is a major need for the Rams that Les Snead does need to address this upcoming offseason. And given all the youth that the Rams have on defense, I think adding Bolton to this unit would really help push it to the next level. But another potential target I do see them signing is Paulson Adebo out of New Orleans Saints. I think Adebo could really be a cost-effective option for them at the cornerback position, and I think he would fit in nicely in this Rams defense. But I would really love to see Nick Bolton be signed to the Rams. I think he would be a great addition for this Rams defense. Okay, Miami Dolphins, and I have them signing Paulson Adebo out of the New Orleans Saints. They're roughly $5 million under the cap at the moment, and Adebo is projected to be at a 2-year, $22 million contract this upcoming offseason. And with the release of Kendall Fuller, I think the cornerback position is a sneaky need for the Miami Dolphins here. And Adebo was having a very great year for the Saints before breaking his leg this past season, and I think he can now be a potentially cheap option at the cornerback position in free agency. And I could definitely see the Dolphins signing him to a 1-year prove-it deal should the market not be what is expected for him. Another potential target I do see them signing is Aaron Banks out of the San Francisco 49ers. The Dolphins are losing both their starting guards in free agencies, and I really think they need to address that position either in free agency or in the draft. So I think Aaron Banks would be a good fit for them here. But Adebo could be a very cost-effective option for them at the cornerback position, and I think he makes a lot of sense for the Miami Dolphins. Alright, this one might be a little bit surprising, but I do have the Minnesota Vikings snagging Javon Holland out of the Miami Dolphins here. Minnesota roughly has $60 million over the cap, so they do have enough money to make a move like this. And Holland is projected at a 4-year, $60 million contract this upcoming offseason. The Vikings really need an overhaul in their secondary, is Josh Metellus is the lone cornerback or safety left under contract in the secondary who recorded 80 or more snaps this past season. The Vikings have enough cap space to make a move like this, and I think they should really prioritize snagging the top available safety in free agency. I think Holland will surely set their secondary up for success in the future. A sneaky potential target I do see them signing though is Trey Smith as well. Again, they have enough cap space to make a move like this. I think the interior offensive line is a sneaky need for them as well. So both Jevon Holland and Trey Smith make a lot of sense for the Minnesota Vikings. New England Patriots, and they by far have the most cap space this coming offseason. They are projected at a $120 million over the cap. So I have them signing Trey Smith out of the Kansas City Chiefs. Smith only being 25 years old. I really think he could be the anchor point for this offensive line. And the Patriots have a very big need on the offensive line across the whole unit. So I think adding Smith would give the Patriots a proven and experienced guard, still being only 25 years old as well. And I think it would help stabilize one of the guard spots especially. Another potential target I do see them signing is Ronnie Stanley out of the Baltimore Ravens. And honestly, I could see them signing both Trey Smith and Ronnie Stanley, and they have enough cap space to make both moves happen. But one way or the other, they need to come out of free agency, signing one of the top offensive linemen, whether that's Trey Smith or Ronnie Stanley here. But I think both Trey Smith or Ronnie Stanley would be great additions to this offensive line. New Orleans Saints, and they have the worst cap situation in the NFL this upcoming offseason, roughly $50 million under the cap. But they find a way to clear enough cap space. I think adding Mekhi Becton would make a lot of sense for them. Only 25 years old out of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's projected at a 4-year, $40 million contract this upcoming offseason. And though he carries some injury risk to him, I think if he can stay healthy, he could end up being a solid player at the guard position for the New Orleans Saints. Plus, he has a lot of familiarity with Kellen Moore, who is now the head coach for the New Orleans Saints. Another potential target I do see them signing is Noah Brown out of the Washington Commanders. I think Brown would be a very cost-effective option at the wide receiver position for them. And with Chris Olave having concussion issues recently and Shaheed still recovering from a season-ending injury, so I think Brown makes a lot of sense for them here. Okay, New York Giants up next, and I have them signing Russell Wilson, quarterback out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Giants are estimated $40 million over the cap, and Wilson is projected at a 2-year, $77 million contract via Spotrac. I think the Giants have a lot of holes to fill this offseason, but I think it starts with the quarterback position. I think Wilson could really step in as a bridge quarterback for this team, and I think he could even potentially be a mentor if the Giants do end up drafting a quarterback this upcoming offseason. Either way, I think adding a veteran to the quarterback room would offer a lot of versatility for this team. Another potential target I do see them signing though is Tevin Jenkins out of the Chicago Bears. Again, they have a lot of holes to fill this offseason. I think Tevin Jenkins could be relatively cheap. I think he could be a quality player on their offensive line here. But Russell Wilson does make a lot of sense for the New York Giants here, and I think he would be a solid addition to their quarterback room. Alright, New York Jets up next, and I have them signing Justin Fields, another quarterback from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jets are estimated $16 million over the cap as of now, and I think Fields could be a relatively cheap option for them at the quarterback position, as Spotrac projects him at a 1-year, $6.5 million contract. And with Aaron Rodgers set to leave the Jets this offseason, I think they need to find a contingency on a cost-effective salary at the quarterback position. So I could see the Jets potentially offering Fields a short-term prove-it deal here, and I think pairing him up with his former OSU teammate Garrett Wilson does make a lot of sense for them. Another potential target here would be Carlton Davis. They don't have as much cap space as other teams here, but with Reed set to leave this offseason, I think Carlton Davis makes a lot of sense given their need at cornerback and his familiarity with new head coach Aaron Glenn. But yeah, I would love Justin Fields to be a New York Jet and team up with his former OSU wide receiver Garrett Wilson here. Up next, we have the Super Bowl reigning champions Philadelphia Eagles, and I have them signing Calais Campbell, 38 years old, out of the Miami Dolphins here. Not a very aspiring signing here, but I think it makes a lot of sense for them. They're estimated to have roughly $18 million over the cap, and Spotrac has Campbell valued at a 1-year, $7 million contract this upcoming offseason. And with the Eagles set to lose Milton Williams, I think adding Campbell makes a lot of sense for them. I think he would offer a lot of veteran presence at that position while being relatively cost effective for the Eagles. I think this also makes a lot of sense for Campbell as well, as he can join a playoff contending roster before he retires. But another potential target I do see them signing is Azeez Ojulari out of the New York Giants. Again, they are losing Josh Sweat this offseason, and with Bryce Huff not panning out, I think they really need to add more talent at the edge position here. But yeah, I really do see them addressing the defensive line in free agency this year, and I really think Calais Campbell and Azeez Ojulari would make a lot of sense for the Philadelphia Eagles here. Alright, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers up next, and I have them signing Milton Williams, defensive tackle out of Philadelphia, only 25 years old. Spotrac has him projected at a 3-year, $36 million contract. And the Steelers are projected to have $53 million over the cap this coming offseason. And with Williams being only 25 years old, I think he fills a position of need for Pittsburgh. And I think he can offer them a really good pass rusher at the defensive tackle position. And though Williams isn't going to be cheap, I think the Steelers are still going to have a lot of interest in him. Another potential target I do see them signing though is Daniel Jones. And this might sound harsh, but the Steelers really do like to do a lot of mediocre things, especially at the quarterback position. So I think Daniel Jones really fits that mold of a mediocre quarterback that could fight for the starting job at the quarterback position for them. But yeah, I would hope to see them sign Milton Williams here as an Eagles fan. And I think Daniel Jones makes a lot of sense for them at the quarterback position, unfortunately. All right, next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers, and I have them signing Jamien Sherwood out of the New York Jets. Sherwood only 25 years old. The 49ers have roughly $40 million over the cap, and Sherwood is projected at a 2-year, $14 million contract this upcoming offseason. I think if the 49ers do depart with Dre Greenlaw, I think Sherwood makes a lot of sense for them, especially given his ties with Robert Saleh back when he was head coach for the New York Jets. I think there will most likely be a few guys that Robert Saleh brings over from New York. I think Sherwood really fits a potential need for the 49ers, and I think he could be a really intriguing option for them. Another potential target I do see them signing though is Poona Ford out of the LA Chargers. Again, they might lose Javon Hargrave this upcoming offseason. I think Poona Ford could be a relatively cheap option at the defensive tackle position, and I think Poona is a really quality starter in this league. But yeah, both players make a lot of sense for the 49ers here, and I think both would be a perfect fit for the 49ers and their defense. We have the Seattle Seahawks up next, and I have them signing Jedrick Wills out of the Cleveland Browns. Wills, only 25 years old. He is projected at a 1-year, $2 million contract. And the Seahawks are $13 million under the cap at the moment. So I think the Seahawks need to look to improve on the offense, especially on the offensive line. I think Wills would really be a low-risk, high-reward signing for them. I think injuries and a failed move at left tackle ultimately ended Jedrick's career short for the Cleveland Browns. But I think a fresh start with Seattle could help revitalize his young career. Another potential target I do see them signing is Sebastian Joseph Day out of the Tennessee Titans. I think he could be another relatively cost-effective player, and I think he is a quality starter in this league as well. But both players could be really cost-effective options for the Seattle Seahawks, given their cap space and given their needs on this team. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers up next, and I have them signing Matthew Judon, 32-year-old defensive end out of the Atlanta Falcons. The Buccaneers are a little bit over the cap with roughly $2 million over the cap, and he is projected at a 2-year, $8 million contract. I really think the Buccaneers have several defensive needs, particularly at the edge position. And though they don't have much cap space to work with this offseason, I think finding a cost-effective veteran in Judon makes a lot of sense. Even though Judon struggled in his time with Atlanta after being traded from the New England Patriots, I think he really still possesses the upside to help Tampa Bay revamp their pass rush, and I still think he is a quality starter at the edge position. Another potential target I do see them signing though is Darius Slayton out of the New York Giants. I think Slayton is another quality player that has been very underrated, and with the Buccaneers potentially losing Chris Godwin in free agency, I think Slayton would fit in perfectly in this offense paired up with Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan. So both players make a lot of sense here, and I think both players would be great options for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, we got the Tennessee Titans up next, and I have them signing Sam Darnold, quarterback out of the Minnesota Vikings. Darnold only being 27 years old, he is projected to have a 4-year, $160 million contract this upcoming offseason. The Titans are estimated to have roughly $40 million over the cap, and I think the Titans have a desperate need at the quarterback position. And I can see them addressing this position either in free agency, the draft, or even both. But I think being able to secure a quarterback in free agency will allow the Titans to have more flexibility come draft day. Another potential target I do see them signing though is Malcolm Kuntz out of the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, the Titans have a lot of holes on their team. I think Kuntz could be a great addition to their defense, but I do see them signing a quarterback, and I do see them signing one of the top quarterbacks come free agency. All right, last but not least, we have the Washington Commanders. And the Commanders are estimated to have roughly $75 million over the cap. So I do have them signing Ronnie Stanley out of the Baltimore Ravens. Stanley only being 30 years old, he is projected to be at a 2-year, $40 million contract this upcoming offseason. And essentially, the Commanders could really use help at every position besides the quarterback position. And with significant salary cap space, I think the Commanders should prioritize adding Stanley, which I think would help solidify their need at the left tackle position. A sneaky potential target I do see them signing though is Zach Bond out of the Philadelphia Eagles. They are losing Bobby Wagner in free agency. They do have a lot of cap space to work with. I could see them offering Zach Bond a lot of money, but I think Ronnie Stanley should be their top priority. I think he is the perfect fit for this Washington Commanders offense. Alright, and that'll do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I do plan on making a lot more NFL related content in the coming future. And I also want to dabble into a lot more miscellaneous things in the foreseeable future as well. So comment down below what kind of videos you guys want to see on this channel. But with that being said, I hope you did enjoy the video and I'll see you guys next time.